signs in the sun, moon, and stars. Mazzaroth Decoded, number 8. Welcome back, family. Here we go. We are taking a step back, and we are hunting the signs for Comet P2019Y3 Catalina. And we're going to take a step back in time just so we can watch the path of this comet. And we're starting here in 2019 on 3/11. And the only reason we're taking a step back is because I want you to see the path of this comet, and it'll give us a better perspective of the story that this comet is playing. Before this, it was in the house of Aquarius for a while, and then it transitioned and moved through Cetus, and we're going to watch this transition through Cetus. We can go ahead and do it by the months. We're going to try to keep this quick, and we can see a very important sign coming up here. This really stood out to me. I have been watching for a sign like this in the Mazzaroth for a very long time, and this could be the sign of scripture being revealed, and we're going to take a look at that later in the video. What we're going to do here is we're looking at the path of the comet, and what we're looking at is the comet having transitioned through Cetus, which again is the sea serpent. And if you've been watching these videos, then you know that we've been watching this battle in heaven. There's a war in heaven, and these comets are playing a very significant role in the development of this heavenly story. And so we're looking at P2019Y3 Comet Catalina, and it is now about to align with Orion. And let's take a look at that really quick, and we can see here that it is very close to the belt stars of Orion. And there is scripture, I believe it's in Job. We're going to have to pull that up later. But it talks about, he's talking, it's the Creator talking to Job, and he is saying, can you loose the bands of Orion? And what we're looking at here is these belt stars of Orion, which are Mintaka and Al-Nalim and Al-Mitak. And let's go ahead and we can scroll in a little closer, and you can see these belt stars. And many of you know that the belt stars of Orion are what the pyramids in Giza are aligned to. They have also found the pyramids in Mexico, and they've found multiple sites around the world where there is this copy of the belt stars of Orion built into what we call astrogeology, or it's part of astrotheology, but it's them taking the signs that are in the heavens and building them into creation on very specific ley lines that have uh, specific energy centers, and this is how in the ancient times they would map or grid the planet and use these power points as places of worship to increase the vibrational patterns that are in those places. So we're looking at the bands of Orion, and I want to point out the path of this comet. Let's just go ahead and walk through the days, and you can see how it essentially crosses right across the bands of Orion. And it's not exact, but if we were talking about loosing the bands, this could be um, one of the players in this band of Orion, because these three belt stars are the band of Orion. You can even see he has a belt around his waist, and on that belt he has a knife, and this is the warrior Orion. And so now we're going to go ahead and just move forward. We want to take a look at the path of this comet. It goes through Monoceros, which is very important too when you're dealing with ancient mythology of the unicorn, and the rider on the unicorn, and we'll get into that later when we get back into Michael Stands Up. That's going to have a great meaning when we get into those videos. But in these Mazzaroth decodes, we're just going to be dealing with the comets and the stars and the sun and the moon. And so we're going to watch this path. And here we have, you can see it comes from Monoceros, and it makes an alignment here that's really important because it's just pointing out our storyline, fam. And we can see that it makes an alignment here with give me one sec. We're just going to get it up as close as we can. We don't have to be exact, but we're going to try to make sure we're as close as possible. That looks close enough. Okay, so now we're looking at this comet aligning with Hydra, and on 10/23/2019, we're looking at Comet Catalina aligning with Hydra, and we're going to go ahead and move through and watch. And now again, if you remember Comet A3 Atlas, and we were talking about how that aligned with the sextant. Well, here we go again. We're looking at this comet now in the constellation of sextants, and it is pointing to direction. It's pointing to us using this comet as a measuring tool or a direction finder. And so it's very important that we see this language. And family, you just can't make these things up. This is crazy. I did not have this comet on my radar, and I'm just catching up with all the comets that I have listed, and I'm following the paths and working all these things out. And I could have a whole team of people and still not get to all the signs that I found. It's just impossible to keep up. So I'm doing my best trying to get to all of these, but it does take time, and now we're finding a very similar path. If you remember back to A3 Atlas, how it aligned with sextants on 9/11, and then it moved through the womb of Virgo. And so here we go again, and we're looking at this comet moving through the womb of Virgo, pointing out that this comet is involved in the birthing signs. And then we see again this comet now approaching exactly what we are looking for in the heavens, which is the signs of Michael standing up and the war in heaven over the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent. And here we are looking at, I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It's as if these stories are absolutely perfect with what we're looking for in Scripture and what we're looking for in the timing of these events. We're just going to get this up as close as we can, and that looks close enough for me. Again, we're not making very specific judgments. We're just showing you a path and a pattern. So now we're looking at this comet aligning with Ophiuchus, which is Michael, and Michael is holding back the serpent. So let's move forward, and you can see here we're getting a 911 sign. This is 1/19, the very last day of Hanukkah on the Mazzaroth calendar. And what do you know? We have the comet aligning with Michael in 2020. So let's go ahead and move forward, and you can see we have another alignment. It's basically been aligned with Michael this entire time. Now we're looking at the comet, and we're going to watch a very specific pattern. And here we go again. We're getting a sign in the Mazzaroth, and this is the summer solstice, fam. You can't make this up. Now we're looking at the summer solstice. Catalina is back inside of the we're going to walk back because I want you to see this sign that I found in this comet. Take a look here. If you remember, Comet Machholz is the devil comet. I believe it's Machholz that's the devil comet. I could be wrong. I'm going to have to go back and look at my information. But I believe that this is the comet that everybody was calling the devil comet. And there is actually multiple of these comets, Machholz. I want you to take a look. We're looking at 1, 2, and I believe there's another one. Let me see if I can find it. There's another one. It's 141G, 141 PF, and 141 PE. These are all the Comet Machholz, and they are all aligning inside of Ophiuchus, which is the sign of Michael. And to me, these are like the stones that David had to defeat Goliath. It's as if these are the stones that Michael has, and he is going to cast these stones to tear down the giants. I need to take a quick break. I'll be right back, fam. Okay, we're back. So again, we're looking at this comet. We'll come back and visit the Mach-Holtz comets later. They were already on my radar, and I've been watching this group of comets for a while, and we'll get back into those. But while I have this one on the radar, let's go ahead and continue to watch this comet. And you can see how now it's making another alignment with Ophiuchus, and now we're watching it align with serpents, again pointing out the battle in the heavens. This is a war in heaven. And now we're looking at it aligning with the shield scutum. And this is also part of the battle. We're looking at the war in heaven, and these are the instruments of war, the shield. Take up the shield. So now we have the comet now transitioning through the heavens, and it is going to align with the water bearer. You can see it's going through the hand of the water bearer, and it makes a turn on the hand of the water bearer, and it goes in retrograde, and you'll see it comes and does its forward motion. And then we have a very important alignment coming up. Now it is transitioning through the constellation of Capricorn, and we can watch these comets. There's another one, C2021 A1 Leonard. I have never had that one on my radar, and so I'm going to write this one down, and we're going to hunt for that. Give me a quick second. I got to get this down. A1 Leonard. Okay, fam. So I'll go back and I'll hunt that, but you can see who is in this constellation. This is a serious alignment. We have Mercury and Saturn inside of the temple of sacrifice, along with Catalina, and let's continue to watch the transition of this. I want you to pay attention to what we just saw. You can see that there is messaging here going on, but this is 2022, so we're going to run through this. I just want to point all these things out because it's very important once you see where it ends up in our Mazzaroth Decodes now. So you can see that we're getting very important messaging. This comet is pointing out very important things, and you can see here on the 31st it makes an alignment with Venus, and then Venus moves on. And if we now we have 22P Cove, and I've had that one on my radar, and we're going to talk about that one Later, I believe I showed it in one of my last couple breakdowns. This comet and Saturn in the tail of the fish. But let's go ahead and keep moving forward for time's sake. We're trying to point out that this comet is heavily involved in the signs. So now let's go ahead and run through the months. We've already pointed out that it was involved in these Capricorn signs, and now it's going to transition through. Let's go ahead and move back because I want to point out these signs. It transitioned through Aquarius, and now it's in Cetus. And so let's go through the days. I want you to watch that it's marking Cetus, the sea serpent. So now we're looking at the alignment with the tail. Now we're looking at the alignment with the heart of Cetus. And then now it's going to transition through Eridanus. And this is the great river in heaven, Eridanus. Now it travels through Fornax, which is the stove or the oven, as if it's being put into the fire or the furnace. Now it is circled around Fornax, which is the furnace, and this can be looked at as hell. It just traveled through the great river, and now it's transitioned through the fires of hell, and now it's again marking the hand of Cetus and the other hand of Cetus. And now we're watching a very important sign in our time, and this is really important for us to see this alignment, because if you look here in the head of Cetus, you'll notice that asteroid Davida is there. So we're looking at this comet. Let's get it right up on its time of alignment, and we can watch this very important alignment that's happening today. And we're looking at Comet P 2019 Y3 Catalina, and it's going to make its alignment at 10:50 Pacific Standard Time today on February the 20th. We're also looking at asteroid Davida in the head of Cetus, and you'll see how this asteroid, as we transition through, you can see how these guys make a direct alignment family. This is so close of an alignment. We're getting some very serious signaling here with these two, and as I said before, this is a David and Goliath type of war, and these are the stones that David used to take down the giant. And we can see how Cetus, the sea serpent, can be seen as a Goliath figure. And this also goes back to the Anunnaki. And we can see how this transition of Davida, we can see here that Davida is right on the line And this will be tomorrow. Davida exits the head of Cetus. And let's go ahead and now watch this transition as it comes out. And so let's look at this. I believe it's at the very beginning of the day on the 22nd. So here we are, it's 5:33 a.m. on the 22nd. We're looking at Comet Y3 Catalina now coming out. And to me, this timing of the 20th through the 22nd, with these two being in the head of Cetus, it seems to me that we're in a serious battle in the heavens. And I wanted to make sure that we pointed out all the details of this comet as it went back in history, because that story is important to understand that this comet has been involved in all of these signs for the war in heaven. And it may be the comet that loosed the bands of Orion. And this can be seen as the he has to have something that holds the sword, and the bands are holding the sword, so it could be that the bands are cut in order for him to go to war. And again, that could be a sign of Michael standing up, and we could be looking at another tool of Michael to defeat the enemy, the serpents. And one of the serpent signs is Cetus, the sea serpent. And so now we're going to go ahead and move through. We've already seen the Davida signs. We've already seen the Catalina signs. We're going to go look at Mercury now. And we're just going to incorporate all of these signs into the same breakdown of the Mazzaroth, and that way we get them all. So we're looking at Mercury now, and Mercury is making its alignment with the water stream. And this is the water stream of Aquarius. Now we're seeing the messaging angel Mercury. This is we're going to start applying some of the new information that I have from the findings that I've made of the angels, but we're going to bring that in later as I am able to incorporate these signs. But Mercury is known as a messenger. And so this is a message to the body of Messiah that we have Aquarius pouring out onto the messenger tomorrow. And this is a very important sign, and we could be seeing an event happening tomorrow associated with this sign of the message. We could be seeing a very, very important sign given to us, whether that's in the heavens or whether that's below. We're going to have to keep watch over these events over the next couple days because of all of these alignments. So we have Mercury in the water stream, and then we have the sun that will align with the water bearer on the 23rd. And let's go ahead and get that up. That looks right there. The sun is now aligned with the water bearer. And that means that the sun, as I've showed, I believe it was on the 18th or the 19th, the sun made its first alignment, but not with the full body of Aquarius. This is actually the full body of Aquarius, and this is where the sun now rules the house in direct form. And when it comes into the house, it is essentially pointing out that it's the ruling planet. But when it makes its alignment here is when you really see the event transpire, where the sun is now the one, the bridegroom is the one pouring out the waters from the urn. And this on the 23rd is a very, very important sign, because number one, we can see the moon is inside of the tabernacle, but we also have Mars turning direct on the 23rd. Remember, Mars has been in retrograde motion, and on the 23rd it will turn direct right between the bride and the bridegroom, and again it's transitioning back to the heavenly brother Pollux, and that's an important sign. Let's go ahead and move over there, and you can see that Mars is on the 23rd, is sitting directly between the bride and the bridegroom. And one of the things that I want to point out here on the 23rd is that Mars is directly on top of the sickle of Pollux, and that is a sign of harvest. So that is a very, very important sign, and that comes up on the 23rd, and we're looking at very important signs of these alignments being made. And now we're going to go back to our last sign, and we're looking at the end of the 23rd. I think it's right around 9 or 10 o'clock Pacific. We're looking at Apophis. And again, this is very, very important alignment here. We're looking at Apophis aligning with the water stream on the same day that the sun aligns on the water stream. Now remember, family, when the sun is in control of the house like this, whatever's in the water stream is either getting a blessing or a curse. And we all know that there is a battle in the heavens over the bridegroom and this serpent, Apophis. And this is the primordial serpent, and many point out that this is Yaldabaoth, the primordial serpent, and that is from the Gnostic traditions of the demiurge, which is the equation to Yahweh. And this is a way of looking at a differentiation between the true Father and the Father of the lower G gods, and also the angelic beings. that these 70 archons, I think there's actually 72. I believe there's either 70 or 72 archons, and they were originally given the position to rule over creation, and they fell from their positions of being magistrates. Remember, these guys were created to rule over the heavens, and they fell from grace, and they are now being shown to us as the ruling archons. And we'll be getting into that as we go into the determination of the ancient understanding. We're going to bring in the book of Enoch, and we're going to bring in all kinds of ancient scripture, and we're going to start teaching how these ancient stories were told before the corruption of modern Roman Christianity, where they hid everything from the body of Messiah, and it became a militaristic group controlling the religion of Christianity. And I'm going to make one point before we leave. Before 70 AD, there was nobody called a Christian. The only people who were saying the word Christian at 70 AD or before 70 AD were the Greeks and the Romans, making fun of the believers of Christ, and the word Christian was a slight. It was a way of making fun of the followers of Christ, and the followers of Christ would have never, ever associated themselves with the word Christian.